All right, we are live. Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Diversity is Lit Book Club. We are discussing our February book of the I was going to say March pick, book of the month pick, which is was a drop of Venom by Sajni Patel, and this was a Rick Riordan presents. So yeah, and this cover is gorgeous. The back
Gorgeous.
and the front. Yes, yes, is gorgeous inside as well in the pages. But so if you don't know us, we read one book by a BIPOC author every month and discuss it on my YouTube channel, like we are doing right now. And we talk all of the spoilers and juicy details. So if you read the book, feel free to put in your thoughts into the comments. And I was like, Alicia's going to comment the right
There
time.
she is.
um, and if you don't want spoilers, then close out of this, save it, and then come back and join us in the discussion after you read it. But I will have my lovely co-hosts introduce themselves. I am Holly, the author of A Diamond Bright and Broken, which is coming out November 5th, 2024 of this year. I had a little mock book, but then I accidentally got it wet, and so then it like I was like, I need to make a different fake book until I get my actual like ARC copy. But anyways, if you like tangled retellings with a female Flynn writer, disability rep, sapphic romance, magic, and magi, then you will love my book. So, and links are down below for my stuff, and then for all of my lovely co-hosts here.
Vanessa, you want to go next?
Sure. So I'm Vanessa. Go by Vanessa Read Books on all my platforms. A fantasy, paranormal, and horror writer, and diversity reader, editor, all the different hats. And yeah, I'm super excited to talk about this one this month.
Okay.
Yay.
I'll go next.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, everyone. I'm Teresa Beasley. I am a thriller author and podcaster. I'm a host of A Reader's Book Corner, and also the co-host to the Indie Flicks podcast, where we discuss independent films. And on A Reader's Book Corner, I discuss and interview indie authors. And on my handles, Arthur T.A. Beasley for all the socials. And I can't wait to talk about this book.
So just to do a quick wrap in so that we can talk about this book, because I think we're all really excited to. I'm writer Alicia Grumley. I'm predominantly a poet, but I also have lots of other projects that I kind of am working through. And I am really excited to talk about this book, especially because, and I think we mentioned this at the end of our conversation last time, all five of us, so our other co-hostess is Heather, and she's not able to be with us today, but she'll probably pop on at some point later after we are done and add comments and things. But she also voted this, and we all voted for this book, and that is a pretty rare thing for us. I think it's happened maybe once or twice before, but we do not typically all vote for the same book, so as the hostesses. So we are pumped and pumped, and I think it was well worth the voting for all five of us to vote this way. So that is
most definitely
what I've got. And I apologize for my tardiness, but I'm here. I wanted to find my green shirt, but I also needed to find. Can you guys see my little snake earring?
Oh my goodness, that's perfect.
So cool.
I know, and I just moved, so I was lucky that I saw them earlier today. That I could be like, wait, I saw those. Where are they? But I just moved.
Oh, that's perfect. Oh, I love it.
Yay!
Yes, but we're good. So Holly, kick us in. Ask us the question. Did we like it?
Yes. So, well, first off, with with the like content trigger warnings that I tried to do for I don't know if I did it for this month, but at least for the March poll, I tried to pick ones that like, okay, like of course we know like violence, bullying, like, you know, that's kind of like not a given in a lot of the books, but like just something that like isn't normally a trigger, but things where it's like child abuse, what's where is it? I'm trying to find sexual assault. Like, so I'm trying to do ones where it's like this might actually be a trigger for someone where they wouldn't want to read the book. So for Drop of Venom, the triggers are sexual assault, graphic violence and gore, and snakes, if anyone has that phobia.
I don't like snakes, but I didn't have any bad dreams from this. I've had bad dreams from books with snakes in them before, but I've not had any from this. But yeah, I think and I think it needs to be on page sexual assault.
Yes.
Right. It's not implied. I want to be extra clear about that for someone.
Yes, thank you.
It is on page.
Yeah, should specify that. But yeah, so our first question is, what are your general overall thoughts on the book, and what rating would you give it? Star rating. So anyone itching to start?
I mean, I'm happy to go.
Sure, kick
Okay,
off.
go, Alicia.
I'm two thumbs way up. I enjoyed every bit of the story. I really appreciated so it is under the Rick Riordan Presents imprint, which is, you know, something that we've read several other stories under that imprint for the book club, and we've loved them all. But Rick really put out a really poignant author's note about this, talking about like how sexual assault needs to be talked about in books, and that it's really sad and unfortunate and heartbreaking, but that he really wanted to make sure that it was represented in a way that gave hope to victims of sexual assault, I think. So I really appreciated that from the get-go, that like there's this really poignant author's or like editor's note, I guess, from Rick Riordan. And it's like 2.5, 3 pages long, maybe something like that. So I really love the imagery. I love the cover design. It's just gorgeous on this. It's beautiful. I can't wait for at least books 2, but I suspect it's a trilogy. I have nothing to indicate that other than some of the motifs we might talk about, but it's gonna be a trilogy for us. Like there's like, if it's not, I will be shocked. Basically, there's space for it to be trilogy. So I liked Manisha. I liked, like I said, the prose. I liked feeling like we were getting, from my perspective, a little bit of a different cultural background. So that was the one thing that I didn't like necessarily, is I could have benefited from a glossary, from understanding some of the maybe the fantastical creatures and, you know, some of the myth-esque things from the kind of background of Patel. But other than that, 2 thumbs up. I really enjoyed it. I'm definitely going to read the sequel, which is there's teaser information about it on the website. And I mean, it's clearly going to be a Persephone story because it's a pomegranate. And like all of that is like, well, there's even talk about that and like the blood drop. We can get into that later. But it's the only like teaser bit is it's scheduled for 2025 on Sajni Patel's website, and title and release date coming soon, but it's scheduled for 2025. So I will definitely read the sequel.
Oh my god.
Well, I wanted to just say, at the end of the author's note in the back, her very last paragraph says, I hope you enjoyed Manisha and Pratyusha's journey, and I hope you'll join me for Ishani's story next, where we dip our toes in a deeper, darker realm. there's nothing like a just reckoning. And
Oh,
I was
it's so good. I
Oh
screamed.
yes.
I
So
screamed when I
good.
read it. I was like, hit me. But that also implies to me that they're going to have
Thank you,
the third
baby.
sister's story, Satara's story.
yeah.
Right.
Yes.
So it probably will be a trilogy.
I think I will be shocked if it's not a trilogy.
Especially with, well, I'm already jumping ahead to the end.
I know, we're all so excited. This is really good.
Especially with the epilogue, when we see the
Yes.
epilogue, and then Shani was like, I would know the guy who raped our sister anywhere, and she's like, what she says to him at the end, I'm not a demon, but I am
your
I'm your
nightmare.
worst nightmare.
Yeah, I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to see this.
Do you want to know what I predict the title is of the next one? I bet it's A Touch of Blood.
That's what I thought too. I was like, wait,
okay.
the drop of Venom, and I saw
The
Touch of
Touch
Blood,
of
and I
Blood,
literally
yeah.
was like, sequel title?
Yes.
That's what I suspect it is, because it just like goes so well with it. But
Yes.
and because they're supposed to be. I mean, we're jumping ahead always, but she's like the daughter of death. Manisha is, and then Ashanti is the daughter of vengeance, and then Satara is the daughter of life. Right, so like she already set it up for trilogy. Boom, boom, boom.
Yes.
So
that's so cool. Oh,
man. Like I said, she's on the way up, but I'm interested to hear from my co-hostesses about their thoughts. So
I can go.
sure.
This is my type of book.
Yes.
I fell in love with this book. I mean, from the creatures that she's created, and I like that she did a totally different spin on the Medusa story, where it wasn't the typical she has all the snakes on her head type situation. But my favorite in this was Noni.
Yeah, Noni's cool.
Her best friend.
Yeah.
So, granted, I was really pissed off when what happened to her, and I'm still mad that Sita didn't get her upcomings, but she did in my head.
I bet she will in the next one.
So hopefully she gets it in the next one. But just the way she describes things, and I did have to look up a lot of the names and stuff. So I'm like you, Alicia. I would have liked like a little guide or an index or something so that I could look at that to figure out which creature was what. But it reminded me a lot of the King Kong movie with Jack Black's version of King Kong, where they're going through the jungle and they land in that inn cave, and all those creatures are larger than what they should be. This kind of reminded me a little bit of that from some of the creatures that she describes in here. But her writing is just, I loved her writing. Her writing was outstanding. And it just kind of, I was just so captivated as I was reading. And then some of the stuff that Manisha ends up doing, I was like, yes.
Yes.
But that's just the Enneagram 8 coming out of me. But I was like, yes. So, yeah. Now, I did after she was kicked out of the flooding mountains, I did kind of realize, okay, she's going to become the monster that's going to have to face the Slayer. So I kind of got that. And then as I kept reading, I kept wondering, what is going to be the reaction when we get to the part of where they do face each other?
Yes.
So I mean, there was some things I thought was going to go a little bit different, but I know we'll talk about that when we get to the spoiler part. But I give this a 5 upon 5 upon 5. And I can't wait. I can't wait till the next book comes out, because I'm definitely going to be pre-ordering as soon as she announces it.
Yes, as soon as she announces it, we'll share it on each other's. You'll share it with each other,
I'm gonna have to get. This was a wonderful read.
It was. I enjoyed the heck out of it. I agree with you.
And it made me not scared of snakes.
I don't know if I can go that far for myself yet, but I enjoyed Noni as a character.
I loved Noni as a character. She was like very protective, and I like the relationship that they built over her going, because she traveled a lot in this book.
Yeah.
I mean, and she had a different, and then she had a different encounter in each village that she stopped in. So the encounters were totally different. But I know we're going to talk a little bit more. So Vanessa, you go.
I just have another prediction for the sequel that something she said like kicked me off, and I was like, oh well, that makes a lot of sense. Because if we're dealing with like the Persephone Hades underworld myth, she never saw that friend again. She never like called through the water, and we've got an underwater city and
with the water dragon. What's the name? Kamiri. Kamiri, I think it is.
We hadn't seen her since.
And she acknowledged it. She's like, "Oh, it's probably too far away. She probably won't hear me." But she even says, "Like, oh, I'm going to get back to the water and try and find her.
We'll try to find her.
Find her sisters."
Yeah.
I'm so excited. I know. I can't wait.
Liked. Yes, it was. This book was just exciting to read. Period.
It was great.
Well, I loved it, like everyone else here. We have been reading a lot of great books so far this year for our book club, and this definitely is going on my favorites of the year list.
Yes.
I absolutely adored it from the minute I picked it up. So I was originally going to get this from my library and read the library copy first, but then I ended up going to Barnes and Noble just to browse, of course.
Browse. Every book lover's adventure.
And I saw it and picked it up and started reading just from the author or editors of Rick Riordan's note in the beginning. Right from there, I was like, oh, this is going to be good. And then I read the author's note, and I was like, oh, this is going to be good. And I was like, I have to. Plus, I saw the map on the inside, and I was like, no, I have to get it. I have to.
Oh, I forgot to look back at the map.
It's gorgeous.
Like after,
But yeah, I fell in love with it as well. I love a lot of the characters. I hate some of the characters too. I love the writing. There's so many moments in here where I'm like, I love that quote. That is so good. I love this. I'm like, look at all the quotes in here. Like, there's so many good lines in here. And then I also love the banter between Manusha and Pratish. I love their, like, even at the end when they are facing each other and fighting each other towards the end, there's still that banter between them. And I'm like, why are you guys so cute? I'm like, I know you're supposed to be fighting, but I'm just like, you guys are just too cute. That's the kind of banter I love between main characters and love interests. So I really enjoyed that. And then, there's just so much. I loved seeing the general get what he has.
Oh, yes.
I wanted to see Sita get what she got coming to her, but I'm hoping we'll see that in the next book. But yeah, I love them.
Yay. Yes, I am with the general consensus. I also loved this book. I thought it was like reading the description. I thought that they were going to be together for a lot of the story. And so I really liked how it's like they had the same timeline at the beginning and kind of had that like budding romance, and then Pratyusha's was like present day, but Manisha's point of view kept going down and down and down, and so it was kind of like that ticking time bomb, like countdown, like trope that I love, where it's like, okay, they have to finally meet up at one point, and like I think Alicia was saying, like what's gonna happen. So I loved that, because I don't know if I've read a book like that where it's like the two point of views had different timelines like that. And not like 10 years apart or something like that. So I thought that was done really well, and I like Sajni so well written. Sorry, I'm so tired. I can't even talk. I can't word right now, you guys.
I slept 14 hours last night, so I get you. I'm feeling tired.
I just can't. What she did so well was that like she made you root for the characters, like, and made you love them so much, but then hate the other ones so much. It was like such a strong, like polarizing contrast. I also hated the general. Didn't realize until now that like, yes, Sita didn't get her like just dues. So
but vengeance are coming.
Yes.
So the general didn't get, I mean, he got his, but he only got his part 1. Right, because he's getting his part 2. She hasn't gotten part 1 yet. It maybe
crazy
to get part 2, but
died, and he's still going to be tortured for the things that he did.
That's what he gets.
I loved just like, you know, just like the strong women, the feminism, like the like standing up for yourself, the independence that Manisha had, and like even though it was like she didn't know anything about anything at the beginning, was like, you know, what's rape, like, and she had to be explained to it, and she's like, oh yeah, that happened to me. And even like with all the women in the villages that we see throughout the time, that throughout her journey, that like were being tortured and things, like there was a lot of graphic stuff, like there was some graphic things, and so it like just made me, it drew up such strong emotions out of me that just was like a testament to how strong her writing was. So and as I was reading, I was like, oh, I mean, at first I thought it was a standalone, and as I kept reading, I'm like, oh no, it seems like she's kind of leaving things open a little bit. I was like, I just kind of feel like this isn't over yet, and I'm glad we will get more.
Yeah, so. I would write. Yeah, I would write.
Yeah. I can't wait for the next one.
I can't either.
But I mean, there was some really bad things happening in the book, especially to the women, and especially the one village. I think it's Vensol that she went to, and you know, she kind of helped them find, you know, food, and then they were drinking the drink, and they was like, no, this is not for you, and she was like, what is it? And they were drinking poison. So if they got taken, that if they were attacked, that it would still in the long run affect the person that attacks them, because they would die, you know, slow because of the poison that they was putting. I was like, that's bad when you have to live like that and have to poison yourself just to feel like you got to fight.
Yeah.
You know, that's your way of fighting back on people that you're less power, you know, because they're more, you know, stronger than you.
Well, then the women whose like lips were sewn shut,
so
worms were like eating it. That I was reading and I was just like, oh my god.
I know, me too. There were some points where I was just like, oh, like I gotta. If it wasn't such a good story, the gore would make me be inclined to stop reading it. But I don't like a lot of gore in stories, so like that's amazing. But the story supported it, and it wasn't senseless gore. I guess that's kind of part of it. It wasn't senseless gore.
Yes,
it was used intentionally because, you know, women are silenced all over the world, and you know, just it, like there's nothing that a predator won't do to hide from that and to keep a woman silenced if that's the case, you know. So I agree, like that part, with the lips sewn shut and the infections, and but like There's a
then cutting
reckoning
out their
coming for that
tongue.
too.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, like the little girl that got taken, which is the reason why they went looking for her. He cut out her tongue.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then like
Um,
the threat that he was going to cut out Manisha's tongue.
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Like, don't you want to keep your tongue on like your friend? Like, just that
yeah,
absolute disrespect, disregard for the value of a
yeah.
woman's life. But I think
I was like, man,
Sajni Patel really was kind of looking at something in her own culture that she's experienced a lot of, a part of the world that's not like women in a Western society would never be allowed to be treated in such a way, right?
yeah,
Or maybe I could say women in a world where they have the power to vote could never, if they knew what was going on, right? Like that public display would never be tolerated, right? And not that it's tolerated because they're fighting back by drinking poison, right? But I think that it was a very interesting eye-opening cultural.
Well, and even they were wanting, like, I think it was the first village that Manisha went to where they had been wanting like a pot to, like, for their menstruation, and then they're like, no, you have to go out into the jungle, and that's where it's
so many
safe.
good
And
parts.
it was just like, no, you're dirty. And it was just like, and then she went to the other one where they're like, oh, what do you need? Oh, we just talk about it for you. Yeah, the boys are
totally different.
The menstruation supplies, and she's
right,
like,
and
what?
like, this is the literal blood of life, opposed to like, it's dirty, and the knowledge that Raina's little sister, what was it? Something with an R also, that her little sister never would have been taken if she hadn't been going to the woods to clean up menstruation. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And like, I have predictions about like Raina and Mitali too. Is it Mitali? Mitali? Like being one of the 3 new queens, right? Raina's going to be Mitali is, and then because we see it that Mitali is, and they say she's one of 3.
Yeah, she's one of 3.
So I mean, it would make sense that it's Raina and maybe Deepa as the 3rd one.
Oh yeah, Dev,
because I think that would make sense, right? Because those are her 3 friends, right?
Yeah.
I don't think at first I thought Manisha was one of the new queens, but I was like, no, she's the daughter of a goddess. She is the goddess incarnate. She does not have the queen.
Yeah.
Like, that's not her role to play here. But I bet it's Deepa, Raina, and Mitali.
Mitali. Yeah, that's what I was getting too.
Yeah.
And I just can't wait till it plays out.
Yeah, and I also thought it was interesting that Pratyush had his own kind of like violation of himself that the king was doing, where he was wanting to breed him as the slayer, and and then like selling his sister, and so it was like, where was the part where they were like, so Pratyush had been violated in a different way. Where was it? They're trying to replicate you. You think girls are the only ones who get violated. So it was like, that was kind of also a thing to realize, like, men, get raped too. Men get physically abused too. So I like that Sajni had that in there as kind of like a mirror of like what Manisha was going through.
And then he never really knew if his sister really was dead. I mean,
I have a comment. I'm like, so his sister's definitely still alive, right? Like,
she's got to be. She's got to be.
Like, I mean, that's she's dead.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think she's dead, because that's like something that he can kind of use against him too, because he knows how much he cares about his sister. So I'm like, there's no way she's dead.
Yeah, I'm like, she's still alive, right? So we'll probably see her at some point.
I was like, there's no way. He's got her hidden somewhere, but there's no way she's dead.
Or maybe even if she is dead, maybe she's reunited with them. Because I mean, if we're going into the world of the undead next, right? If we're going into like nightmare realm, right? Like,
or is she the girl that kept appearing to him?
Oh yeah, probably
talking to him.
Oh,
Maybe that was his sister, and he just couldn't focus enough to concentrate on. But because I mean, there was like a ghostly girl that kept coming to him.
I hope it's not her. Oh.
I hope it's not her either.
Yeah.
Because I really think she's still alive.
I think she's still alive in some capacity. Yeah.
Yeah. Because I guess technically she wouldn't be. So I'm wondering, would she be, since he's a slayer, is like the men only slayers, or could his sister?
Well, he commented on that. He commented on that. Bertucci did. He said, "Is Manisha the next slayer?" That would be the best thing that could happen. Just because it's never been done before doesn't mean it can't be.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Was it?
But I wondered if his sister is one.
Yeah. Well, I think we have to agree that it's possible if he himself specified that. You know.
Well, in the beginning, his parents said they weren't sure, but
about her.
Oh yeah, they did say that. They did say they wasn't sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like 342. I have some comments, but that's what he said. Like it might be the best thing that could happen. Right.
Yeah.
Or 342. Yeah, was Manisha ... Could she possibly be a new slayer, a female slayer? That was unheard of, but could be the best thing to ever happen, honestly. So, and because his sister shares his father's blood.
Blood, I would think,
I would think, I would think that's how he's going to get out of it, and it's going to be turned into a queendom, not a kingdom, and she's going to be the resident monster slayer.
Yes.
They need to take the king out too.
Oh yeah, that king. He's
the next page, 343. I had the quote where Preorder said, she's like, "Are we doing this?" She asked. He said, "Of course not. You don't want to go up against the slayer of monsters." And she says, "I guess." That she might have the good sense to stop. Instead, she smirked, adding, "It's a good thing I'm a slayer of men." So she could be both slayer of men and
she could be both.
Get it? No, she could.
She could be hybrid.
Yes.
Be both.
We already know she could do that. So, oh my God! But all of her powers too. The stone, the burning and melting of the skin, like Noni splitting her head
and turning into all the other heads.
So many visuals that I was just like, what?
Like, but also like to put that, like, we're talking about the sequel of like The Reckoning, right? On page 5, I wrote down the quote, "A reckoning as inevitable as Venom." So I mean, she was laying that groundwork from the beginning, right?
So good.
Yeah, like feed our wisdom, they hissed as one. Retribution will come from resilience. A reckoning as inevitable as Venom.
Yeah, there was a lot of good quotes in this book.
There were so many. I also wondered, at one point I was like, is Noni gonna split her head into 7, like on her shoulders? Like that's gonna be her snake for hair. It's gonna be like, because at that point, like we didn't realize how big Noni was gonna grow, right? But she was like sitting like on her shoulder, like she was kind of always sitting with her. And I was like, oh, is her head gonna split and it's gonna be like so? That was because I was like, it's the Medusa vibe, right? Like we have to have the snakes,
right.
So, but I thought that was good. There was another like Medusa reference. Let me see if I can find it while you guys are talking. If you've got other quotes to talk. Oh yeah, I did. Let's see. I think it was on. Holly, you might have said it though. What did you say about 341? Did you say 341?
Oh no, 343.
Oh, okay.
343, I think.
Okay.
That's where I read.
Okay, hold on. Let me see it. There's something. Yeah, on 341 that Sanji made the reference. He'd expected a giant of a woman, hideous and wretched, with claws for hands and talons for feet, with reptilian skin and the body of a snake. He had expected a viper who slithered in the darkness, with snakes for hair. I was like,
Yeah,
that
oh,
is
yeah,
such a good
yeah.
reference.
Yeah,
That
that's
is
a good
such-
reference.
Oh, it's like, boom.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's so good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I have so many quotes that I love too.
Yeah.
Like I have some notes and I just have like stars next to them, and like there's a comment that says "ah." I don't even know what quote this is yet.
All of my quotes have stars. I'm just like this
Yeah.
one and this one and this one.
Yeah.
I just tabbed all of mine yellow
Oh, there you
in my
go.
book.
So good.
Did you buy it, Teresa, or did you get it from the
Yes,
library?
yes. I bought it so I would be able to underline stuff and put my little tab guide in the front so I could go back to the stuff that I wanted to.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of a whole page, but for on 230,
Yes, I have that tabbed.
for the first time in a long time, she spoke secret names and lineages, and it felt incredible, freeing, powerful, immeasurable. The words rolled off her tongue like releasing a breath she'd held for far too long. She closed her eyes for a moment, reopening them to stare into Noni's steady gaze. The vision from her ancestors finally beginning to make sense after so long, a deluge of understanding. I am Manisha, she said out loud, she who turns men into stone and commands serpents. Every word came louder, stronger. I am from the lost Naga, daughter of Padma, granddaughter of Padmavati. Her chest heaved with every proclamation. I am a Nagin, and I am Venom.
Venom. Yes. Yes.
Not even that she's just filled with venom. She is Venom.
So good. Oh.
Get
But also, like, it's not just the prose quotes, like, about the characters or about something that's happening in the story. I really like how Sanji also used these moments of these quotes of, like, beautiful, like, life lessons, right? Like, the one on 213. So it's, like, about 3/4 of the way down the page. Manisha wiped her own tears as they fell faster. I don't know what to do. I don't have answers. But my mother used to say that life is like a ripple, cause and effect. Sometimes you have to be a drop in the water that causes a ripple that makes a change. She'd say, Beta, be a boulder, not a pebble when you hit the water. And like,
yep, I have that one tabbed too.
Oh, I know that one. Like, I got goosebumps. Like, I still got goosebumps. Like rereading it, you know, of like. Because we all think about that, you know, the ripple effect, but it's the size of your effect that matters too. It's not like if you're going to do it, go big, right?
And
like,
even like a little bit down from at the end of page 213 into 14, Manisha slackened the anxious energy seizing up her muscles. I'm scared. Me too. Raina's face hardened with determination. I'm going. What can one girl do? A girl can try. And then Manisha's like, you won't stand alone. I'll help. Teamwork. And I'm just like, ah. So it's like, she's like, I'm scared. I'm going. And, you know, it was just like, that was so empowering to be like, yeah, do it scared, you know?
Right. I liked also on page 150 when she's talking to, I think it's Kamari. And Kamari tells her, no matter what pain you go through or whether your life is perfectly balanced, there's always healing to be found in helping others. It will open your eyes and your heart. Trust me, there's nothing more dangerous than a dark heart. For dark hearts lead to dark times. Which I think is why she started like... And then that's when she gets to the next village and she helps them find the food. And after meeting Kamara and kind of talking with her. Because I think Kamara could look at her and tell that something that she had been attacked.
Yeah. I also wanted to bring up earlier on just how like how we get the mentality of a lot of people, especially the men in this world, and the entitlement on page.
On page what, Vanessa? Sorry.
So on page 94, when the soldier was going to take that child, he was like, "It's taking my due," and Petush is like, "Your due isn't with the child." And then he goes on and says, "So let me get this straight. One day a soldier will come through your village and take your daughter, and you'll just let him?" Petush asked. The soldier choked out, "If he's fought so we can live, yes. We don't just fight, we see things, horrible things, and kill and suffer." "Ah, I see. So that makes it right. Share the suffering. You'd allow the same thing to happen to your wife, your sister, your mother, your grandmother?" "Yes," he said without a fleck of remorse. And it's that whole idea of like, if I have to suffer, why shouldn't they too? And like,
Yep.
because I have it hard, I'm gonna make it hard on others as well.
Everybody else.
But I also thought that Patel did a really good job of getting Pratush like fully developed too, right? Because we have an understanding that he is not going to tolerate this from the get-go. He's 17. It doesn't matter how much older these guys are. He's using his sense of the chosen one, right? Of being the last slayer, of being like, I mean, that chosen one-y kind of trope, right? To use
What
that.
I was going to say is like, which is why I was glad how he turned that back on him later on in that scene. Before he does anything to the girl, he turns it on him, and he basically lets Dev do what he wants. And it's just like a couple pages later where I'm trying to see. It's like, "Okay, fine, I won't touch her." "No," Pratush said, rubbing his temple in agitation. "You won't touch her, but you'll be upset at us for doing this, and not at yourself for needing this sort of intervention. Do you think this is the world we fight for? Risk our lives battling monsters only to come home to different sorts of evil? You don't just you don't understand what's wrong here. Instead, you blame others, and I'm tired of telling you to behave. You're grown. You should understand words, but you don't. So to help you learn empathy, that means compassion, by the way. That's a couple new words for you. Here we go." He rubbed his hands together, and then you see, like, he basically lets Dev take his revenge for what he had said about Dev's family and culture earlier as well. But one thing I wanted to also point out was like that part where he says, "Do you think this is the world we fight for? Risk our lives battling monsters only to come home to different sorts of evil?" That parallels what I think Manish later on. I have it marked, but I can't find it right now. But where she basically is telling them, where she's like, "We both fight monsters." I forget the exact line, but something along the lines of, "We both fight monsters. It's just I don't remember how she phrased it.
She said something about being objective.
Yeah, basically saying like monsters don't always look like monsters.
Right.
Right. Is what she was trying to tell me. Yeah. I think it's
kind of along what you were saying with like that. I was I liked how on page 191 where you know, they had been talking with Raina, or Manisha had been talking with Raina about like, oh, we have to go to the, you know, when we're menstruating, we have to go in the jungle. There was a woman, or I think it was Raina's mother, said, smart girls keep themselves safe. Raina stiffened and Manisha's eyes turned blurry with tears. Was it her fault she'd been violated by the general? Was she just another irresponsible girl? Kumari hadn't seemed to think so, but who was right? We could learn to defend ourselves better, Raina said quietly. And like, that was making me think of where it's like, oh, you were asking for it when you dress that way. Like, we need to change the way we dress. And it's like, no, the boys need to change the way they act. Like, so I like that, how it was like, oh, well, we just need to defend ourselves better. So I really like that part.
The whole like victim blaming stuff and victim,
Mm-hmm.
And two, I thought like the floating mountains kind of reminded me of like it had like a religious references to it with the no touching and staying pure.
Oh yeah.
Kind of the way they acted made me think of like nuns, where they couldn't be touched. You know, they had to do certain things. So I thought that was, she kind of put a variety of things, but she did it really well in the book.
I mean, do we talk about the floating mountains? Do we talk about Sita? Do we?
That
I mean,
just
that
the
bitch.
horrible where I was like, where I thought at first that part you were talking about was where she gave that title to someone else instead of she didn't give Manisha the title of Daivika, the divine Apsara. When the head priestess died, and so I was like, oh, is that the, and then I got to the part and I was like, that's the part that T was talking about.
That
I want to go to page 74 because let's see. There's something about that on page 74 that I have the prediction. I went, did Sita orchestrate the assault? I have that note, and I was like, and it was page 74, but it was like well before it, but it was something, I feel like it was when she said, like, maybe it was 75. She said, why 75, because you know what happens to girls who are defiled and desecrate these holy mountains that it has. Like broken vessels, they are of no further use. They get tossed out.
Yes. That's what made me. And when I read that,
was the moment. I was like, this bitch.
When I read that, I was like, she's up to something, because she also said to her, why he keeps asking for you, I have no idea. Yep. Have you interacted with him? Like, she was accusing her then, and then when that part came up, I was like, that heifer is up to something. She's about to do something. I said, that heifer is up to something. I was like, no, I don't.
Where was it? I thought that when the general had finished his assault, that Sita was like, you were only supposed to touch her? That wasn't the plan?
Yeah, she said something like that. But it's, I'm also like, come on, you knew, you had to know.
Yeah.
What's gonna happen.
Well, and then like when he says, the general like recaptures Manisha later and says like to like get the favor from like to get to use you and then favors from Sita afterward.
Yeah.
He also now has at least done something with Sita, and Sita is now defiled or unclean or whatever they're going to use. But she's still probably the high priestess there.
Yeah.
For right now,
because they probably don't know. I was like, oh, and I knew something was up with the general, because when he kept asking for her to be like the little assistant person to him.
And how he looked at her.
And how he looked at her, and I think he was like, no, she's with me. And then he started walking with her, and the general and the other guy was like standing there, and he was fuming because they was like, he said something about, well, when you get done, something about letting them have her or something at the when they were.
He was like mad at Pertush too, I think. Like,
he was mad at him
because Pertush vouched for her, right?
Vouched for her and was like, no, stop. she's going with me. And then I was like, is the general going to try to get back at him for that in some kind of way?
Yeah, I didn't.
I put that in my notes. I was like, he's probably going to try to get back at him for that. And then when I saw that Sita had set her up, I was like, ooh,
No.
she better be glad I can't get to this mountain.
Let me up there.
Oh. I was like, oh, and that's when she first met Noni too.
Yeah, and the fact that she had her the whole time with her was kind of a cool thing. Like she had her egg from the bangle, and then like as they worked more, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, because he pitched Noni over the thing too.
Well, and then did like the soldiers, when they did like fight Noni like near the end, did she die, or was she like close to death and then started healing herself? Because I know like she's still alive, but like when I forget where it was, but it like when I was reading it, I was like, oh my god, did she die? Oh,
they cut off. They cut off.
And those heads died.
Okay, got it.
But she was still together, because when she went into the opening, she had Raz. She like caught him because she was protecting him when she fell in. So that's why when she threw him back up, she kind of like did that to she basically saved his life.
Yeah. And then she trusted
he was like, you did, yeah. And then she kind of looked at him like,
him back up if Pratouche hadn't talked to her and been like, I'm sorry, we were after Manisha, but I'm here to help, and I was wrong.
Yeah.
Like, but
and then I think that's why she I think that's why she threw him back up. Which was kind of gross, but kind of cool.
Yes.
Because he was like, did a snake just throw me up?
What just happened? Yeah, he's like 16.
Like, what
poor, like 16-year-old kid.
Yes, but I love Noni's character. I was attached to all these characters in here. I just didn't like Sita in the general. I just wanted to strangle both of them. But like, and I was ticked off at the guys in the village that kind of sacrificed Manisha to the soldier dude.
Yes.
I was like, that's not cool.
Well,
because they had a plan. They had like a plan, and the plan was going to work if they hadn't intervened. I was like, just stay out of it. Jeez.
I was confused though as to after that happened, after that went down, and Manisha, stones the guys, kills them, and she gets away and stuff. And then later on, when we see Preorder interview or interrogate the people in the village, that's when we see Reina with her lips sewn shut, and that's why I was like, so what happened? I was confused as to what happened between that after Manisha left and seeing Reina be there with her mouth shut.
That's because they went into the village and attacked all of them and took the women, and they sewed their mouth shut so that they wouldn't be able to say that. And then they blamed it on Manisha and said that Manisha, the Serpent Queen, went in and killed everybody and plummeted the village. When it wasn't her, it was them trying to get back because of what she did to the soldier.
And I think that Reina's betrothed, her fiance.
Yeah, I think he
charge.
Whole thing.
That's what I was thinking too, but I was like,
he was another one. Yeah,
that made me so mad. Oh my god,
because he was the main one that said, "No, we need to sacrifice her because if we sacrifice her, we can trade her for your little sister." And she was like, "No." And that's when they came up with their little plan. It was going to work, and then of course he, being a man that he is, had to come in and try to take charge, and it just all went to shit after that.
And I think that it was really poignant that Preorder was like, Where are your women? I want to talk to them. I don't want to talk to you about
to
this.
you.
Where are the women?
Mm-hmm.
Like, and that was really good too, right? Because you don't
Yes.
always get to see that. And I especially get the feeling from this culture that's not always something that's valued. So for him to be like, no, wait a minute, I'm not playing around anymore. Where are they?
Yes.
You know, and she's gonna find out what happened to them. Manisha's gonna find out, and she's gonna burn that place to the ground.
Mm-hmm. Because did you notice that some of them had their mouths sewed, and then there were some of the women that did not? And I think the women with their mouths sewed,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So I
they
was
didn't
like,
know what was going on enough. Yeah.
Yes. But the ones that they took from, and her betrothed need to be, that dude, he needs to be chopped up some darn where and fed to Noni.
Spit touch him, honestly.
Yes. Because I was like, oh, you were so wrong. And then, of course, he says that it was Manisha that did all of it. And she ain't nowhere near the village anymore. And you talking about she did all this.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I was like, yeah, I'm sorry. Some of these soldier people was treacherous in this book. I'm like, y'all. And a lot of them did get it. Especially when they went through the marshlands.
Yeah.
Which was with the shadows, and she helped the creature that was stuck in the water when Manisha was going through, and Noni, which I thought Noni had died then, but she just kind of went into her little hibernation so she could see it. And I was like, oh my God, she's not moving. What is happening?
I thought she had died there too. I was like,
I thought she had died, and she's trying to carry her. I'm like, oh my God, Noni's dead.
Well, I think she wasn't because they pointed out that her eyes were milky, and I've seen enough about snakes to know that's when they are molting or like.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, she's doing her thing.
Yeah.
And especially because we had not seen her on page like do that molt at all yet because she had disappeared. But she kept growing and growing, right? And so like I was like, oh yeah, like I know she's not dead, but I knew it wasn't good, but I knew she wasn't dead. But I also wonder if we're gonna see that like demon creature thing come back later, right? Like
because she did help it.
Well, I was thinking about that.
Save it.
Well, and then I didn't know because like when they had been talking about shadows, like at the end with Ashani. Like she had like black tentacles, and then they said she was like a shadow. So I didn't know if there was some connection with that or not.
Yeah, I bet. Well, and I wasn't sure if it was like one of her sister's creatures, like because at the end,
I was like, I was like, oh, I feel like I've read that. So
yeah, and Manisha did help it, so I was like, oh.
I like how like Manisha was smart and like burned the Noni's skin so that no one would find it. Yeah. You liked that part.
And it just seemed like they was like one step behind her. Every time she would go, it was like Pertushina was like a couple of steps behind her. Like I was like, oh my God, what is going to happen when they do meet each other?
Right, well, but I like that we knew that they were all going to be there. Like we knew where the final stand was going to be because we got that bit from the elders. Like one who brings you pain, one who brings you passion, and like some friends. Like, oh yeah, cool. We're all going to be there.
We're all going to be there.
We're all showing up. Final party.
Speaking of when they were finally going to meet again, it's actually on the same page where Alicia was saying that they thought, he thought they'd have snakes for hair. Pratyush supposed he finally faced his breaking point. Love was painful. Duty was painful. In this moment, on this day, he had to choose his pain. And like that made me think of like, a line I've like heard a lot lately, like choose your hard. Doing that, it's like working out is hard, not working, like being in pain.
It is.
Like, choose your heart, that sort of thing. And so I was just like, oh, like choose your pain. And so like I liked that because like he did have a choice and he thankfully made the right one, but he still had to make that decision.
I also like the creature where they went through, I think it's called the Vatala. Um,
I don't remember which one.
and they were going through the woods. The Fatala is the ones that grabs a hold of you and it sucks your brain out.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Don't make a sound. If you they can't find you if you don't make a sound." And the dude gets scared. I was like, "Oh man, he just said, don't move and don't make a sound."
And then he's like, they never listen to me.
Yes, he was like, "These idiots."
So, we were talking about the map, and I know we were just a little over, but I didn't realize this because of the fact that I did get the library. So the top of it's taped to it, but the back side you can see the other side of the map, but it's the literal noggin woman on the side. Like it's the snake woman from the Hindi culture, which I just thought was a nice touch.
Oh.
Yeah, this map is so detailed.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's very detailed.
I was like dying at the end for these other quotes that were happening near the end, page 354. With the general's plans, he thought he could be the most powerful man in the world because he had her. Didn't that make her the most powerful person in the world then?
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
and then like when she's trying to free herself from the general's binds, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Whatever it takes." And then he's like, "Oh," and then she's like, "Oh, I want you to be quiet." And then like when he's like grabbing his crotch, "How's that for hard?" And I was like,
I love that.
I was dying. I just I mean, like we could quote the whole book, like
Yes.
like,
Yes. Oh, there were so many good ones in here. Oh.
Don't make it. Hey, Al.
I also think it's also interesting. I think how she how do I say it? In a way, it's almost like a reversal of gender roles. How she associates, tough and strong and hardness with Manisha's character, and then we see Pretush and we see a more softer, gentle side to him. And even with this quote, like on page 371, she says, she nodded, holding back tears. He understood. Amid the masses of the king's cruel servants, the slayer was like a sunflower refusing to be choked out by thorns. And it's just that image of like you don't really you wouldn't associate a slayer, especially a man, with something as like a sunflower being choked out by thorns, right? So it's those visual imagery that she does with kind of swapping the genders in that way that I thought was so interesting as well.
I love that. I didn't even catch that line.
I also like that when Manisha was tired and Noni kind of nudges her and she falls onto Noni's back and she's like, taking her because they were both tired, and to Noni she was just too slow. And Noni's class, and so she knocks her onto her back and she's like sitting on her back and she's like basically riding Noni, and they're going faster. I thought that was adorable. Oh, that was so adorable. Their friendship is so adorable in this book.
It was so
and they had each other's back.
My best friend, yeah.
Yes. She's like, "You killed my best friend."
Your friend,
But,
my best friend, yeah.
Yeah. Hi, Al.
Hello.
Hey, thanks for coming.
Thanks. Yeah, their bond, their friendship is very beautiful in this book.
And it's cool to see because it's like this is the first, I think, one of the first like animal bonds I've seen where the animal doesn't talk and they don't talk telepathically either. So I
Right.
think that
Mm-mm.
that is like a
Yeah.
power in and of itself to be able to show that in a book, because I don't know if I've read that,
I
able to
haven't, yeah.
feel that relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, because she could actually read Noni's expressions.
Mm.
And she had like little.
If you see it, it's because it's a pet relationship, and I don't get
Mhm.
that vibe about their relationship. Like,
Mm-mm.
Noni is completely independent. She lets her do what she wants to do. She's not responsible for
Mhm.
feeding her. She takes care of her because she's her friend, but
Yeah.
not because she's dependent on her. Right?
Right.
I mean, now
Right,
granted,
right.
this huge serpent doesn't need to
Mhm.
be dependent on this like venomous woman. I was going to say this person, but you know, like, but I think the only way I would like see it, like, because you can, or I could, I feel like I've read stories where like owners are able to interpret their pet's expression, right? And like,
Mhm.
like you're able to interpret your dog's expression, your cat's expressions, you know, or like how we would like personify those expressions that we see. But I think because that they are both their own unique entities, I think is what's really interesting to me about it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. And I like the part where Noni, when she comes out of the clearing and she's in the new village, and they're beating the girl. They're like kicking and hitting the girl, and her and Noni like scares the bejesus out of them.
Well, and also that Noni's got this like strange camouflage kind of bit that like we haven't really got to see explored a lot.
That's right.
Yeah, she kind of camouflaged herself. Because I thought she was gone. Because she was like, "Oh, Noni will find me wherever wherever I'm at." So she wasn't worried about her being gone because she knew she was going to find her. But when she rises up behind her, and those guys are, oh my god, that was so funny.
And I did like that Noni didn't leave when she told her to leave. She's like, "No, that's my girl. I got to go get her." Like, you know, that was cool too. I can smell that dinner is almost ready, so I might need to wrap up soon.
Yeah, we're okay with wrapping up. I know we're over time. If you've got more thoughts, more quotes, and fun things, please drop it in the Goodreads forum. There's a special thread for a drop of Venom, and we can continue our chat. We knew this was going to be a good discussion, so thank you everyone for joining, and for having another good discussion. Please join us for our March Book of the Month pick, which the poll options were all Palestinian authors, and we ended up choosing Against the Loveless World by Susan Abul Hawa. Ooh. So please check us out and support a Palestinian author. And thank you for joining us, and we will see you next month.
Next month.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.